Hello, everyone. I am bored and I'm at home, and I thought I would try to pass some time by making a video about my Rolex Datejust. I've never done this before, but I thought it would be fun, and maybe I could help someone out who's on the fence about what to get. I'm not doing this for any financial gain or anything. I just want to be helpful and sort of share my experience with the whole watch hunting process. I picked this up 1 or 2 years ago, and it was, during the height of coronavirus. I was trapped at home and had nothing to do, so I thought, I need a new hobby. I'm going to figure out which watch to get. I'm going to research luxury watches, and I just want one. I just want, the one watch that everyone talks about. So I went for a go anywhere, do anything kind of situation. I looked at different brands, and I ended up settling on Rolex as being the best brand for me. At first, I was against Rolex. It has kind of a stigma as being a little blingy, a little flashy, and some variations being sort of like a bro kind of angle to them. Like, sometimes the sub can be like that. I wanted something a little more low-key, a little under the radar. I don't know. Maybe that's just me being paranoid about being noticed wearing a Rolex, but that's how I felt at the time. So now that I've been doing this for a while now, maybe I wouldn't mind having a sub. But at the time, I just wanted something that was low-key under the radar. So I started looking at different variations, and I really liked the Explorer, actually. I thought that was nice, but I really wanted a date. So I sort of crafted this to be sort of like a formal Explorer, if you will. It's got the nice black dial. It's, about the same size, but it's got the date, and, it's got these polished center links, which, some people really don't like. I'll get into that a little later. But when I did, more and more research, I realized that Rolex is great. They make a really good watch, a top quality product, and I am a proud owner. I have another watch, and it's also from a really nice brand, and I got that one first, and I thought it was pretty nice. It had a couple of shortcomings, but once I picked this up, I really realized how special it was. Like, everything about it was just right. Every little shortfall the other one had, Rolex had figured it out, basically. So I thought I would start talking about this and let you know my impressions. Like I said, this is a Datejust, and this is a Datejust 36. I was really on the fence about, the 36 or the 41, especially because you can't try them on since they don't have them in any of the ADs. I just sort of guessed which would fit me. You kind of can't go wrong. People get really obsessed about how it looks on your wrist. It's kind of personal preference, It's what works for you. I wanted something that was kind of classic looking. That was my go-to. And so I thought 36 would fit for that. I have a 6 3/4 inch wrist, and I think it looks pretty nice. Some people might think it looks a little small, but I don't know. I think it looks fine. I did see a video once about how Mr. T had a Datejust 36. And, as they said in that video, if it's big enough for Mr. T, it's big enough for me. So this is a black dial. I had a chance to get a blue, but it didn't pan out. I kind of wanted black. Black's sort of classic. I was happy. I ended up with black. You can kind of see, this isn't the best lighting, but it has a sunburst dial. If I just kind of flip it around a little bit, you can kind of see the sunburst. Really, it shows up best in sunlight, and I'm indoors, so it's catching a lot of glare, which is, I'll get into that, kind of a weakness of Rolex, and I'll talk about that later. But, overall, the fit and finish is just amazing. This metal they use, the 904L steel, it's just so smooth. You run your fingers over it. It feels so nice when you put it on. It just kind of glides over your wrist. Some of my other watches, they pull hair. This does not pull hair at all. It's really remarkable. They've just thought of everything. It's got a nice tapered bracelet, so it looks quite elegant on wrist. let me get into the clasp real quick. I love this clasp so much. Every little thing that needed to be optimized, they have done it. My other watch, it has a really annoying like bump right here that sticks out in the middle. So when you have it on wrist, it digs into your wrist, which I just hate. I just take it off sometimes and look at it and go, why? Why did you build it like this? So when I got this, I was just thrilled to discover that it's perfectly smooth. There's only the slightest little hump here, but it's all smooth and uniform. So it's so comfortable on wrist. And in fact, this is definitely the most comfortable watch I have on wrist. Everything on the inside is smooth. Even, the back of the case is smooth, which some people don't like. They think, they want like a pattern or a logo back here, but I just want anything that makes the watch more comfortable, basically. So this feels really nice on wrist. The bracelet is like super well balanced. Like this thing doesn't flip around at all on my wrist when I have it on. It just kind of stays put and is so comfortable. This clasp is really cool. Until you handle one, you don't really appreciate how nice it is. It has this kind of like hook and beak situation here. If you want to open it up, you just got to dig your fingernail under here. It pops open very easily, but also can't pop open unless you actually try to open it. And what's really cool, the thing I really like, is when you close it, it's a very satisfying click. You can kind of see when you close it, it just kind of snaps in very nicely. Maybe I shouldn't talk when I do that. There, that's better. Little coronet here. The Datejust gets a raised coronet right here. It's got kind of it's got the logo on the inside. Everything's very smooth with this operation here. It doesn't squeak or, I don't know. Everything just, the hinges are so nice. Everything's just perfect. I don't know what to say. Besides, everything's just perfect. They've thought of everything. This Easy Link thing is really nice. So it's got this kind of adjustment here where you can kind of make it, you can adjust it a half a link. I think it's a half a link. There, see, I just shortened it. You can kind of tell it's shortened by, you can see just half of a center link here. And if I open it up, you can see a full center link. So you kind of know what position it's in just by looking at your wrist. Sometimes I forget, is it on the tight setting or the loose setting? And just look down and go, oh yeah, it's open up all the way. I don't know, it's just so comfortable. You just forget it's on your wrist sometimes, and you forget if you adjusted it. You forget everything about it until you look at it, and you're like, oh, that's a very handsome piece. This dial's quite nice. It's very clear and simple. Some people don't like the asymmetry of the Cyclops. I actually really like the Cyclops. It was something that drew me to the watch, actually. I think it's a cool feature. In case you were wondering, it is on the outside. So some people say you have a pimple on your watch, but I don't much care. It seems to be on there pretty well. It doesn't, they must have some kind of proprietary super glue to attach it, because it doesn't come off at all. You can remove it. Some people have done that. I saw in some forums. I would never do that. It just leaves a weird anti-reflective marking where it used to be, that it's like a blemish, although some might say this is a blemish in itself. But yeah, I would never take it off. Seems crazy. What's kind of cool is when the second hand comes by, it slightly magnifies. It just adds a little character to the watch. I think that's nice. I guess I could talk about weaknesses. There aren't too many. It's more of a preference thing. One weakness, I think, is, the Datejust doesn't get any anti-reflective coating. Some of the newer models do, like I think the OP does. Can't remember, maybe the new Air King, can't remember exactly, but you can see it picks up a lot of glare, It's a flat crystal. Not as bad as Not as bad as a curved crystal, but it picks up a lot of glare. What's sort of neat, though, is sometimes when you have it in the right light, kind of like this, it has almost like a frosted kind of appearance to it. There is anti-reflective coating under the Cyclops, so the Cyclops kind of, stays clear, and the rest gets this frosted look, which is kind of cool. But I think I'd prefer it to just have anti-reflective coating all around. But whatever. So that's the problem, is sometimes, the glare gets in the way of seeing the time, which isn't a huge deal. You just sort of tilt it, like, you have it like this. You just tilt it a little bit, and then it's fine. It's very legible. Sometimes I wish the hands were a little bigger. You can kind of see that the hands are the same width as the indices, but the lume markers are thinner than the indices, so sometimes the hands just kind of disappear, which is not ideal if you're trying to tell the time. And maybe that's getting a little nitpicky, because if you turn it a little bit, you can see the hands quite well. They pick up the light. But, sometimes like this, you don't, you see the hands, but they don't jump out at you. But I think that, it's kind of going with it being sort of like a dressy kind of piece, it's a little more elegant, which is fine. It is what it is. One thing I've kind of learned after trying to maximize this whole situation with watches is there's really no perfect watch. They all have like some strengths and weaknesses, and you just gotta go with what you like the best. There's never going to be a perfect option. This is pretty close, though. A lot of people don't like these PCLs. They've grown on me a little bit. I guess if I could have it any way I wanted, I guess I would want them to be just fully brushed. I don't know. I go back and forth. It looks really nice with like a collared shirt or in a suit. And the PCLs are interesting, actually. Sometimes like they look real blingy like that. You can kind of see them. But sometimes they just turn into a matte gray, kind of like this, which looks kind of cool, kind of like a gray racing stripe. They add some character. It's kind of fun. I debated getting Jubilee or the Oyster. Like I said, I was going for the look of formal explorer, so I don't know. I went with the Oyster. Sometimes I wonder if I should have got the Jubilee, but you're never gonna have the perfect configuration. There's always gonna be some kind of shortcoming somewhere. Maybe I'll put it on, huh? Let's put it on. Okay. One thing I didn't appreciate until I actually got this watch is how nice it is to slide it onto your wrist. It's just so smooth. It just flies on, and it feels good when you put it on. They really worked out all the kinks here. So yeah, 6 3/4 inch wrist. One thing I researched, or I learned from researching, was that the width of this bracelet is 20 millimeters, and from what I was reading, the width is the same as the sub. So, it's got a nice, quote unquote manly bracelet, but kind of an elegant like case. So it's sort of like, I don't know, I want it to be kind of a jack of all trades situation. 36 on my wrist. I think it looks fine. Some people may disagree. I don't really care. It's all in the eye of the beholder. I like this piece very much. It's my favorite watch. I was kind of worried about owning a Rolex because of, it's a luxury brand. I felt kind of nervous about wearing it around at first, but one thing I've noticed is no one really notices your watch. No one cares. Very rarely you'll meet someone who's into them and they'll go, "Ooh, nice watch," but mostly no one notices at all. It's all in your head. So yeah, I wear this around pretty much without fear, just all over town. And it's quite comfortable, and of course it keeps good time. But, it doesn't have to keep perfect time. People get so caught up on, how accurate is it? It's never going to be as accurate as my phone. It just has to keep reasonable time. which it does in spades. And it's got a 72-hour power reserve. I didn't think that was very important at first, but when you have a date, it's nice. Just keeps it running all the time. You don't have to mess around with the date. I really appreciate the 72-hour power reserve now. My other watches, you know, they have power reserves in like the 50s, somewhere around there. The longevity of the power reserve is really a luxury. Makes me really appreciate this one all the more. Not much else to say. Rolex Datejust, 36, 2 thumbs up. I'll be keeping this for a long time. I don't see any circumstance where I'd want to sell it. I mean, one good thing about Rolex is I know people complain about how they're not really innovative. They just keep rolling out the same hits. But also that's good in a way, because it'll pretty much never go out of style. Like, I could keep this my whole life, pretty much. And it probably wouldn't change in appearance too much over time. So, you know, I could give this to my son, maybe someday. Or maybe even my daughter, I don't know. Sometimes women wear oversized watches. It could look good on anyone, really. Yeah, and this is a nice piece. Very impressed. So yeah, if you're thinking about picking up a Rolex, I would say go for it. The quality is amazing. It has almost no weaknesses, except for this glare issue. You will be thrilled. I ordered mine through AD, and it took about 6 months for it to come in. But I think I picked a configuration that wasn't very popular. You know, most people they were telling me go for the fluted bezel and the Jubilee bracelet. Apparently nobody wants a formal Explorer. But, well, I don't know. You know, you go with what you like. The other thing, too, is this watch, of any of the other ones I own, I find myself taking it off a lot. Not because it's uncomfortable, but I just want to admire it. I find myself just holding it in my hand a lot, just looking at it, just admiring the craftsmanship. I got a cat hair on my hand there. They just figured everything out. So if you are interested, go to your AD, order it up, just be patient. It'll come someday, and you'll be quite happy. And that's it. Take care, everyone. Good luck.